अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन, क्या हाल है आप लोगों के? वालेकुम अस्सलाम, वालेकुम अस्सलाम। एड मैथ मॉक इंशाल्लाह मैं सोच रहा था कि कल हम रख लेते हैं एड मैथ मॉक। ठीक है, आज मैं रख लेता, बट बिकॉज आई हैव टू स्ट्रीम P3 ऑल्सो, दैट्स व्हाई आई डिडंट कीप इट टुडे, बट टुमारो इंशाल्लाह sounds like a good idea. Okay, so do you think hard math papers have gotten harder across the course of the previous year? I think hard math papers are always up and down. There is no, I can't say whether they've gotten harder or easier, it's up and down. Yeah, the notes must be updated by now. The notes must be updated by now. मैं double check कर लेता हूँ. So trigger identities given होती हैं 40, हाँ बिल्कुल पहले भी given होती थी बेटा. They were given prior to the syllabus change and the format change. अब भी given है. So will our paper be similar difficulty to Feb March papers? I don't know. So this year, do you predict the exam would be hard? I don't know. ठीक है, I don't make predictions of any sort. It's a gamble. I avoid it. But it's best to prepare for the worst. Simple as that. ठीक है. Anyway, so let's begin now. Today I want to keep a lengthy stream of differentiation so that we can cover all the remaining concepts there are of differentiation that we couldn't do in the last stream. Okay? So I will be going over concepts such as rates of change, applications of differentiation integration, practical applications of maximum and minimum value. Okay? So expect the stream to be around 2 hours. Okay, 2 hours, or maybe 2.5 hours. Let's see. So my objective is to cover as many concepts as possible and as many questions as possible. Okay? So why students ask you type of questions if you're the examiner? हाँ, students को बेचारों को लगता है कि examiner ना पेपर बनाने से पहले शायद मुझे फ़ोन करता है कि बताएं जी पेपर इस साल मुश्किल बनाएं, आसान बनाएं, थ्रेशोल्ड ज़्यादा रखें, कम रखें, ट्रिग्नोमेट्री डालें, नहीं डालें. बेचारे बच्चों को यही लगता है. ऐसा नहीं है सैडली, थैंकफुली ऐसा नहीं है एक्चुअली, वरना फिर मुझे मुश्किल हो जाती है मेरे लिए. खैर नहीं है, चलो मैं एक काम करता हूँ, एक सेकंड. सो अभी इस मसले का हल निकाल लेते हैं. मैं आप लोगों को ना अभी अपने नोट्स दे देता हूँ, तो मैं चैट में भेज के ना पिन कर देता हूँ. ठीक है? Can you guys see my message with a link? I've pinned it as well. Okay. So threshold नीचे रखने का कहिएगा प्लीज़. ठीक है, डन है. नेक्स्ट टाइम कॉल आएगी मैं कह दूँ. बता दें कितना थ्रेशोल्ड चाहिए, बता दें. A B C सबका बता दें, A स्टार का भी बता दें, मैं बोल दूँगा उनको. Okay. Now, the radius r centimeter of a circle is increasing at a rate of 5 centimeter per second. Find in terms of pi the rate at which the area of the circle is increasing when r is equals to 3. अच्छा देखो. Now this is a question that belongs to the concept of rates of change. ठीक है? Now rates of change, no matter what level you are at, no matter where you go, will always follow the 3W approach. Okay? So we will always follow the 3W approach. Okay, now what's the 3W approach? Number 1, look for what is given. Number 2, look for what is asked. ठीक है, और what you want. What you want कर लेते हैं. What you want / is asked in the question. And number 3, when do you want it? Okay. So, like I said, pick up any rates of change question. This is the approach that we will follow to solve any rates of change question. Okay. Achha, अब let's identify how we can apply this approach as well. So first of all, as you read the question, notice that if only you streamed a day before, I had an exam in differentiation. Exam in differentiation at this time of the year doesn't make sense. Don't you have your CI exam in a couple of days? Okay. So notice that you're given that the radius of a circle is increasing at a rate of 5 centimeter per second. Okay, so this is basically what is given. This is the answer to the first what. And what is that? The rate of change of radius, and that is basically dr upon dt. And what is that equal to? That's equal to 5 centimeter. Okay. You can't find this question in the PDF. This is question number 4. This is question number 4. Number 2, the question is asking, and this is page number 6. Number 2, what is the question asking for? Find in terms of pi the rate at which the area of the circle is increasing. So what is it that the question is asking? The question is asking the rate at which the area is increasing. So that means the question is asking for dA upon dt. All right? Now, what is the third what? The third what is when. When do you want the rate of change of area? And that is when r is equals to 3. Okay, so this is the 3W approach that we're going to follow. And by the way, the fact that this question is asking you to find it in terms of pi, that means we can treat it as a non-calculator question. Okay? Okay, so next thing that you do is that you make a chain rule. Okay, now how do you make a chain rule? Very simple. Very simple and very fun also. So what you want to find out is dA upon dt. Okay, since you want to find out the rate at which the area is increasing, that means you want dA upon dt. Now this will come as a result of multiplying two fractions such that the numerator of the first fraction will be equal to the numerator of what you want. The denominator of the second fraction will also be equal to the denominator of what you want, that is dt. Okay. Now here and here you will have something that is the same. Okay, so in both places you will make sure that whatever you put is the same. Okay, and it also has to be relevant to the question. Like for example, I can put dv over here, but it's not relevant. I can put dx over here, but it's not relevant because there is no rate of change of x, and there is no way I can find out d upon dx. I can put dh over here, considering that h is height, but again, it's correct, but it's not relevant. Okay, I won't be able to figure out what dh upon dt is, and similarly, I won't be able to figure out what d upon dh is. So what do you think I should place over here? What do you think I should place here and here? What is it that's relevant and makes sense as well? बताएं. dr, that's correct. So given the context of the question, what makes the most sense is dr. Now dr upon dt we already have. Okay, now let's bring our attention towards finding dA upon dr. Now how will I find out dA upon dr? Notice that A is equals to pi r square. What if I differentiate area with respect to r? If I differentiate area with respect to r, what will that be equal to? That will be equal to 2 pi r. And what is r equal to? R is equals to 3. So let's plug in 3 in place of r. So you have 2 pi times 3. That's equal to dA upon dr. And that's it. Now it's all downhill from here. So 6 pi is what dA upon dr is equals to, into dr upon dt. What is that equal to? That's given in the question. That's equal to 5. Okay, and what is that equal to? That is equal to 30 pi. Okay, so did we use a calculator in this question? No. Does that mean that this question can be tested in a non-calculator paper? Of course it can be. So the answer is dA upon dt, which is equal to 30 pi. And there you go, fellas. That's the answer. This is May, June 2020, paper 11. All right. Okay, let's move on. Let's do another rates of change question, or maybe another differentiation related question. Chalo, here's another rates of change question. So 2 questions for you. Firstly, do you give a list of all the chapters you should know? I don't. Will you do a syllabus run through of P1? Yeah, that I will. That I will. I'll do a syllabus run through, inshallah. Don't worry about that. But I don't give a list of topics because, like I said, any question can be designed to be a non-calculator. Any question can be designed to be in calculator. ठीक है, I have made similar videos in the past. ठीक है, I have made videos in the past where I've talked about what to expect in AD Math paper 1. So yeah, so you can watch that. All right, fellas, let's resume. Could you tell me where in your notes is a list? बेटा कहाँ मिलेगा आपको वो? कहाँ मिलेगी आपको trigonometric values? ठीक है, इतनी सुस्ती अच्छी नहीं होती. सही है, ज़ाहिर है आपको डिफ्रेंशिएशन में तो नहीं मिलेगी, ना आपको वेक्टर्स में मिलेगी. ठीक है, तो फिगर इट आउट उमर, फिगर इट आउट एंड सी फॉर योरसेल्फ वेयर यू विल फाइंड द ट्रिग्नोमेट्रिक वैल्यूज दैट यू नीड टू नो. ठीक है, हर चीज़ पूछ के नहीं करते बेटा, थोड़ा ट्रायल एंड एरर भी होना चाहिए ज़िंदगी में. यू विल गेट टू लर्न अ लॉट. नाउ द वॉल्यूम v ऑफ अ स्फीयर ऑफ रेडियस r is given by v is equals to 4 upon 3 pi r square. All right, pi r cube, sorry. The radius r centimeter of a sphere is increasing at the rate of 0.5 centimeter per second. All right, so remember the 3w approach. This is your first w. This is what's given to you. So dr upon dt is equals to 0.5. Okay, find in terms of pi the rate of the change of volume of the sphere. That means what you want is dv upon dt. And when do you want it? You want it when r is equals to 0.25. So you want this when r is equals to 0.25. Okay. So what shape are we dealing with? We're dealing with a sphere. So first let's begin by writing down the volume of a sphere. So that's 4 upon 3 pi r cube. Okay. Now, let's now make a chain rule for what we want. So since we want dv upon dt, this will come as a result of multiplying two fractions. Numerator of the first fraction will be equal to dv. Denominator of the second fraction will be equal to dt. Okay? Now, what will I have in the two remaining places given that it's relevant? That is dr. Okay, so dr upon dt we already have. Okay? As far as dv upon dr is concerned, that we will have to figure out by differentiating. So let's differentiate v with respect to r. So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 upon 3 is 4. So we have 4 pi r square. What's the value of r that's given? R is given to you as 0.25. Okay. Let's try to do this without a calculator so that we can practice solving sums like these without a calculator. So what is 0.25 equal to? 0.25 is basically equal to 1 upon 4. Okay. So if I square it by first writing it in fraction form, it will be a lot easier compared to when I write it in decimal form. So 4 pi r square into 1 upon 4 squared. So 1 upon 4 squared is 1 upon 16. 4 into 1 upon 16 is 1 upon 4. So that means dv upon dr is equals to 1 upon 4 pi. This is equal to 1 upon 4 pi. ठीक हो गया. Now, time to put all the ingredients together. 1 upon 4 pi. ठीक हो गया. अच्छा, this by the way is question number 8 of your worksheet and this is from May-June 2020, paper 12. ठीक है. So you have 1 upon 4 pi. ठीक है. Into dr upon dt, which is 1 upon 2. Okay. So what do you get? You get 1 upon 8 pi. The question categorically said give your answer in terms of pi only, so make sure you leave your answer in terms of pi. This is dv upon dt, or if you want, you can write it as 0.125 pi. ठीक है, एक ही चीज़ लिखना. Don't be over efficient कि मैं decimal में भी लिख देता हूँ, fraction में भी लिख देता हूँ. No, just write it one way and that's good enough. No, you don't really have to mention the units. ठीक है. In AD Maths, we have much bigger fish to fry. Okay, so units is not one of that. So if average student works hard, can get A star in O-level maths with average IQ and talent? Yes, you can. ठीक है. Getting an A star in O-level math is not as difficult as people make it sound. It's possible. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this question. So in chain rule, we always do this, or we always do this. We always do this. There is no exception. That's why I said that no matter which question you solve, it's always the same. Please answer what? A-level math. It's only been postponed in Pakistan. That's what I can tell you for sure. Okay, I'm talking about A-level math P3 exam. As far as the other countries are concerned of zone 3 and zone 4, it's best that you check it from your school. In fact, as far as I know, I've spoken to a couple of students from India and Bangladesh. They said that they have their exam as per schedule. Anyway, so here we have to use quotient rule. So u is equals to e power 2x minus 3, and u prime will be equal to e power 2x minus 3 multiplied by 2. So that means u prime is equals to 2e power 2x minus 3. Okay, what's v equal to? V equals to x squared plus 1, which means v prime is equals to 2x. So we have vu prime minus uv prime upon v square. Okay. मॉडुलस नोट्स आपको मिलेंगे फंक्शंस में, एंड मॉडुलस की स्ट्रीम भी इंशाल्लाह कमिंग डेज में करते हैं. ठीक है. सो वी यू प्राइम मीन्स एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस 1 इंटू 2e पावर 2x माइनस 3. सो दैट्स वी यू प्राइम. ठीक हो गया. माइनस यू वी प्राइम, दैट मीन्स माइनस 2x ब्रैकेट ओपन e power 2x minus 3. 2x minus 3 is in the power only, upon v square, which means upon x square plus 1, the whole thing square. Now there's absolutely no need for you to simplify this and give your answer a certain way. You can just leave it here as it is and move on to the next one. ठीक है. कोई इसको simplify करने की कुछ करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. This is good enough. Now we can move on and start solving the next part. ठीक है. Okay. Now, yes beta, it's also possible कि एवरेज IQ वाला बंदा एड मैथ में A* स्कोर कर ले. ठीक है. अब हो गई आपको सारी आपको वैलिडेशन मिल गई. Now you can start studying. I would appreciate if you do that. ठीक है. But if a student keeps asking questions, okay, without any actionable, without any action, ठीक है, if it's just talk and no action, then there's nothing you can do. ठीक है. So I hope I've made that clear also. Hence, given that y is increasing at the rate of 2 units per second, find the exact rate of change of x when x is equals to 2. All right, once again, you're given the rate of change of y. That means you're given dy upon dt. Okay, and what's that equal to? That's equal to 2. Find the exact rate of change of x. That means you need to find out dx upon dt. And when do you want it? You want it when x equals to 2. ठीक है. All right. Now, so what is it that we want? We want dx upon dt. So next thing we should do is we should make a chain rule for dx upon dt. Okay. So how will I make a chain rule for dx upon dt? Dx upon dt will come as a result of multiplying two fractions. The numerator of the first fraction will be dx. The denominator of the second will be dt. And we will have dy in the remaining places. Okay. Now notice that this is dx upon dy. Okay. Whereas what we have found is dy upon dx. And there is no need to panic. Just because it's the opposite, there is no need to panic. Now, as far as dy upon dt is concerned, we already have that as it is. But how do we get our hands on dx upon dy? Okay, so no problem. Let's first find out what dy by dx is equal to when x is equals to 2. ठीक है? 2 है ना? हाँ. So let's plug in x is equals to 2 and let's find dy by dx. So dy by dx when x is equals to 2, let's plug in 2. Does the question say, notice the question says exact. Again, I'm not going to use a calculator. So yeah. So far, I don't know, this is the third question that we're solving maybe. I still haven't used a calculator. So 2 squared is 1. 2 squared is 2. क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं? 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 1 is equals to 5. ठीक है? And then you have 5 into 2 e raised to the power. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 1 is equals to 3. All right. Minus 10 times 2, or 2 times 2, which is equal to 4. And then e raised to the power 1 once again over 2 square is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 square is equal to what? 5 square is equals to 25. ठीक है? Okay. Now, what are we looking at? We are now looking at dy upon dx to be equal to 5 times 2 is 10. 10 minus 4 is equals to 6 e power 1, or simply 6e upon 25. Okay? 6e upon 25. Now what about dx upon dy? Dx upon dy will be the opposite. Dx upon dy will be equal to 25 upon 6e. Okay, and we can't simplify this any further. Now it's time to put all this together. So we have dx upon dt. What is that equal to? That's equal to dx upon dy, which is 25 upon 6e, into dy upon dt, which is already given in the question. That's equal to 2. So 25 times 2, that's equal to 50. Yeah, balki ek kaam karte na. Let's simplify it before we multiply. 2 1s are 2, 2 3s are 6. So that means the final answer, the rate of change of x, the exact rate of change of x. Exact means that we'll give an answer in terms of pi, insert form, in exponential form, whatever it is. We're not going to give an answer in decimal form. So we have 25 over 3e. That's the answer. That's dx upon dt. Okay. So I will be doing differential equation for P3, and then I will also be doing a syllabus run through for P3. Okay. Now, let's do another question. The x coordinate of point. Surds questions are no longer part of the syllabus. I mean, surds is part of the syllabus, but it's just that you don't really get a standalone question on surds anymore because it's something that's tested in. That's tested along other questions. So you don't really have a standalone question on surds anymore. अच्छा ये भी हम कर सकते हैं. इसको भी देख लेंगे. This is a nice question. Let's do this. This is a nice question. Question number 26. This question says a circle center O and radius r centimeter has a sector OAB of fixed angle 10 centimeters square. All right. Angle AOB is theta radians and the perimeter of the sector is p centimeter. Find an expression for p in terms of r. So what is this? This is basically practical applications of stationary value. ठीक है. Previous trick question हम आ जाएंगे. ठीक है. पहले जो new concepts है ना वो कर लेते हैं. जो पहले trigonometry का question है ना उस पे भी हम आ जाएंगे. First let's do this. Okay, now, so you have a circle which has center O and radius r, and it has a sector OAB of fixed area 10 centimeters square. Okay, so it's always a good idea to make a rough sketch. So here's a circle with center O, and it has a sector known as OAB. So here's O, here's A, here's B, and here's R. Okay, angle AOB is theta radians, and the perimeter of the sector is, perimeter of sector is, sorry. So there's no need to draw this line. Just the sector is good enough. Okay, now, the question says, find an expression for P in terms of R, and what is P? P is the perimeter of the sector. Okay, how do you calculate the perimeter of anything? It's sum of all sides. In this particular case, we will need 3 lengths. So the 2 lengths will be the radii, and the third length will be the arc length. Okay, so it's going to be r plus r theta. Okay, notice the question says that the perimeter should be in terms of r only. So that means we can't have 2r plus r theta. We got to do something about r theta. Okay, now, what do I do about r theta? We are given the area of sector. What's the area of sector equal to? The area of sector is equals to half r square theta. So that means half into r square into theta. Is the screen stuck? No, I don't think so. The screen is stuck. Yeah. So beta, if you keep spamming like that, then I'm afraid I'll have to hide you. It's your loss, because I'll have to hide you from the channel. Okay, now half r square theta. Okay. Now what do we have to do? We now have to find out theta, because the question says in terms of r, so that means we have to make theta the subject. So theta is equals to 20 upon r square. Okay, so p is equals to 2r plus r into 20 upon r square. What happens is the r and the square from r square gets cancelled, and we now have the perimeter, which is 2r plus 20 upon r. Okay, this is question number 26. No, this is not for P1. You can watch it, but I don't recommend it. Okay. So we now have the perimeter, and what's that equal to? That's equal to 2r plus 20 upon r. एक second. इसका आंसर आई थिंक मार्किंग स्कीम में गलत मेंशन्ड है, because the marking scheme says 2r plus 20 upon r square, which is clearly not the case. Yeah, the marking scheme says 2r plus 20 upon r square, which is clearly not the case. Let me show you guys. So half r square plus theta, theta is equals to 20 upon r square, and if you plug in 20 upon r square, then it should be 20 upon r, not 20 upon r square. Yeah, see, if you do 2r plus r into 20 upon r square, so you get 2r plus 20 upon r. अच्छा, इसको जब डिफ्रेंशिएट करेंगे गलत है. Why? Because their differentiation is correct. So there you go. Okay, now you will not get full marks if you write 2r plus r theta. You'll probably get 1 mark, partial marks. Okay, now part B. Part B says find the value of theta for which p has a stationary value. Okay, we have to find the value of r for which p has a stationary value. So if you want to find out the stationary value of p, that means you need to do dp upon dr equals to 0. Okay, you need to find out the value of r and then plug in that value back into the equation to find out the value of p. So that means the first objective is to differentiate p with respect to r. So p is 2r plus 20 r power minus 1. So let's differentiate this. So dp upon dr is equals to 2 minus 20 r power minus 2, and I think this is correctly mentioned in the marking scheme, which means they have made a mistake in the previous part. So this becomes 2 minus 20 upon r square. Okay, let's equate this to 0. So if you equate this to 0, 2 is equals to 20 upon r square. Let's simplify. 2 1s are, 2 10s are, so that means r square is equals to 10, which means r is equals to under root 10. Okay, now keep this r as it is till you get to the very end. Now it's time to plug in the value of r in the equation of p. So 2 times under root 10. Then it was plus 20 upon r, so that means plus 20 upon r. And what is r? R is basically under root 10. Okay, the question does not say exact. The question does not say exact. So what we're going to do is we're going to... Achha, wait, the question only said find out the value of r. Okay, no. Since the question only said find out the value of r, so that means we will stop here. Yeah. We'll stop here. R is equals to under root 10. We found the value of r. We can stop here. Okay. Now, determine the nature of the stationary value. Okay. How will you determine the nature of the stationary value? You will double differentiate. D square p upon dr squared. So what's that equal to? That's equal to 0. Minus will make it plus. So 40 r to the power minus 2 minus 1, that's minus 3. So that means the double derivative is 40 upon r cube, which no matter what the value of r is, we know that r can only take positive value, will always be greater than 0. And if it's greater than 0, so that means it is a minimum value. ठीक हो गया? There's no point in using change of sign rule over here. Why? Because you already have this is single derivative of p, and it's very easy to differentiate it again. Okay, it's very easy to find out the double derivative, so there's no point in using the sign rule. Acha, r will not be equal to plus minus 10. Okay, why will r not be equal to plus minus 10? Because r is radius, and radius of a circle, any form of length, can only be positive. So we will not use plus minus 10. Okay. Revisit question number 26 part A. Here it is. So it says find an expression for p in terms of r. P is what? P is the radius of the sector. So that means r plus the arc length, which is equal to r theta. Remember, we're using the radian formula. So r theta means we now have to make theta the subject using the area. So area is half r square theta. When you make theta the subject, theta is equals to 20 upon r square. So you plug in theta, replace it by 20 upon r square, and then the perimeter is equals to 2r plus 20 upon r. Okay, now all of this can be used in P1 for practice, but I would recommend that if you're practicing P1, it's best that you do P1 only. Okay. Acha, by P1 do you mean what? By P1 do you mean A-level math P1 or do you mean Add Maths paper 1? Well, I say all this can also be done in paper 1 because I still haven't used a calculator. Find the value of theta at this stationary value. Maybe we will have to use a calculator over here. I don't know. Find the value of theta at the stationary value. So what is r equal to? R is equals to under root 10, and now we have to find out the value of theta. So theta is equals to 20 upon r square. No, we still don't have to use a calculator. So 20 upon root 10, the whole thing squared. Okay, 20 upon root 10, the whole thing squared. So root 10 squared is basically 10. So that means 20 upon 10. And what's 20 upon 10 equal to? That means theta is equals to 2. There we go. Beta, I am streaming P3. Okay, I'm doing a stream at 7:30 where I'm doing differential equations. Then I'm also doing a syllabus run through. Okay. I cancelled it yesterday because of the announcement that came in Pakistan. Because of that, I was getting a lot of calls, a lot of messages. I had to deal with that. But I'm doing 2 streams today to make up for that. Okay. All right, let's do that trigonometry question that we came across earlier. Yeah, let's do this one. The normal to the curve y is equals to tan 3x plus pi upon 2 at the point p comma minus 1 where p is greater than 0 less than pi upon 6 meets the x-axis at the point A and meets the y-axis at the point B. Find the exact coordinates of the midpoint of AB. So we did a question similar to this, but questions like these are always challenging. So let's do this question as well. So first things first, we actually need to find out the value of p, okay? Which means we now have to differentiate it. So if I differentiate it, what do we get? So wait a minute. Before I differentiate it, since we have to find out the value of p, let's actually plug in p comma minus 1 into the equation so that we can find out the value of p. So minus 1 is equals to tan of 3x नहीं, अब x की जगह p आ जाएगा, p plus pi upon 2. There we go. Okay, which means that if I write this nicely, this is what it becomes: tan of 3p plus pi upon 2 equals to minus 1. Okay, now tan is negative. What does that mean? That means it could be in the second or the fourth quadrant. Achha, here we have no option but to use a calculator, which means it could be in the second or it could be in the fourth quadrant. Okay? Achha, you may be wondering, why am I not altering the range? Why am I not following that approach over here? The reason is simple. Reason is we don't want multiple solutions. We just want one value which falls inside this range. That's it. Okay? That's the reason why I'm not following the range alteration kind of stuff. I'm just doing it the normal way. Okay, so we need to find out alpha, alpha will be equal to tan inverse of 1, which is pi upon 4. Okay, so tan inverse of 1 means alpha is equals to pi upon 4. Okay, so here's alpha and here's alpha. Acha. Up the first solution will be this one right here. What will this solution equal to? This solution will be equal to pi minus pi upon 4. So that means 3p plus pi upon 2, 3p plus pi upon 2 is equals to pi minus pi upon 4. What's that equal to? That's equal to 3 upon 4 pi. Okay. And the other solution would be 2 pi minus pi upon 4, for which it's best that we use a calculator. So 2 pi minus pi upon 4, which is equal to 7 upon 4 pi. Okay, one by one, I'm going to find out the value of p, and whichever one falls inside the range, I'm going to accept. Whichever one falls outside, I'm going to reject. And we only want one value. Okay. So how will I find out the value of p? Here's how I will find out the value of p. From these two solutions, I'm going to subtract pi upon 2, and I'm going to divide the value that I get by 3. Okay, so I'll do it in front of you guys so that you guys can see exactly what I'm doing, and there is no confusion left. Okay, so here we are. Now make a fraction. 3 pi upon 4 minus pi upon 2, okay, and divide this by 3. So this is equal to 1 upon 12. Now 1 upon 12 pi, or pi upon 12, is actually inside the range, is actually inside the given range. So that means I'll simply stop here. This is the value of p that we're looking for, and I'll simply stop here. Okay, pi upon 12 की decimal value देखो, that's 0.2617. Okay, then look at the decimal value of pi upon 6. Pi upon 6 is 0.523. So the range that we're given is from 0 to 0.523. Okay, and the value that we got is 0.2 something, so that means this is inside the range. So we are now going to accept this value. Okay, we're not even going to proceed any further. ठीक है, इसको हम ignore कर देते हैं. Okay, now let's proceed with the question. So we have found the value of p. Now we want the normal to the curve at this point. So before I find out the normal to the curve, that means I now have to differentiate the equation of the curve. So if I differentiate tan, what do you get? You get sec. So you get sec square 3x plus pi upon 2. Okay, now what will you plug in? What will you multiply it with? You'll multiply it by the differential of the angle, which is equal to 3. Okay. Now we have dy upon dx is equal to 3 sec square 3x plus pi upon 2. Okay. Now let's plug in the value of x that we just found, actually the value of p, and what's that equal to? That's equal to 1 upon 12 pi. Let's see if we can do this without a calculator. So 1 upon 12 times 3, that's going to be equal to pi upon 4. Pi upon 4 plus pi upon 2, that's 45 plus 90, that's 135. Calculator के बगैर मुझे मुश्किल लग रही है. ठीक है, so let's use a calculator only. So this seems a little challenging to do without a calculator, so let's use a calculator only. ठीक है. Okay, now Achha, bear in mind that your calculator must be in radian mode. Okay, and also another important thing to watch out for is that your calculator does not, no calculator has sec, so you need to convert it into cos before you can work it out. So this will now be 3 cos square into 3 upon 12 pi plus pi upon 2 into 3 upon 12 pi plus pi upon 2. Okay, this will give you what? Bear in mind that this will give you the gradient of tangent. Okay, this will give you the gradient of tangent. Achha, I know कि कुछ questions हैं आप लोगों के. I'm not reading the chat right now. Let me solve this question. Then I'll read your questions. Okay, so 3 upon 12 pi plus pi upon 2. Close it, square it. Okay. So what do we get? We get the gradient of tangent to be equal to what? To be equal to 6, which means the gradient of normal will be equal to what? The gradient of normal will be equal to minus 1 upon 6. Okay. Achha, what does the question say? Find the exact coordinate. So that means we will keep everything in exact terms. And what is the point at which we're supposed to form the equation? That's 1 upon 12 pi, comma, minus 1. Let me double check that also. Yeah. Okay. Now let's pause here and let me see what questions you guys have. So please do a concept stream on AdMaths kinematics. I have done many streams already, so I would suggest you watch that. I will be doing a stream where I'm solving past paper questions of kinematics. Okay. So I have to study many topics from zero. Can you tell me? No, beta. There are no shortcuts. TK, it's best that you study everything from scratch. Achha, sir, do you think it was right? I've already made a video on it yesterday talking about what I think, so I'm not going to repeat. It's going to waste everyone else's time. So in kinematics, when finding speed from acceleration and finding the value of c, nothing is mentioned. No. It's not that nothing is mentioned. There is stuff that's mentioned. You just have to read the question carefully. Okay. समझ नहीं आ रही क्या हो रहा है? Okay, मैं recap कर देता हूँ. देखो. So basically, this is the equation of a curve. And there is a point on this curve with coordinates p, minus 1. And the normal to this curve at this point meets the x-axis at the point A and meets the y-axis at the point B. So that means we want the equation of normal. But before we find out the equation of normal, the problem is we don't really have the x-coordinate. So how will you find out the gradient of tangent? How will you find out the equation? So first thing you do is you find out the x-coordinate. Okay, think of it this way. You have the curve, you have the equation of the curve, you're given a point which has the x-coordinate, which does not have the x-coordinate but has the y-coordinate. So we plug in this point into the equation of the curve and we start finding the value of x. Okay, now the question is, why are we only taking 3 upon 4 pi to find out the value of p, not 7 upon 4 pi? Notice for p we're given a range and it's only 1 point. Okay, it's not that we're solving a trigonometric equation and we have to list multiple solutions. No, we just need to find out the x-coordinate of this point, and the range of this is from 0 to pi upon 6. Now, when we solve, we realize that tan is equals to negative, which means it will be in the second and the fourth quadrant, which means theta could be equal to pi minus pi upon 4, which is 3 upon 4 pi, or it could be equal to 2 pi minus pi upon 4, which is 7 upon 4 pi. Now, one by one, we use these solutions to find out the value of p, which is the actual solution to the value of x. And whichever value falls in this range, we accept it, and we're not even going to bother with the other solution. Why? Because we know that it's just one answer that we're looking for. So even if, let's suppose you use this, for the sake of argument, let's use 7 upon 4 to find out the other value of p. Let's see what happens. So if I use 7 upon 4 to find out the other value of p, so that means it's going to be 7 pi upon 4 minus pi upon 2. ठीक है? Divide करो इसको 3 से. What do you get? You get 5 upon 12 pi. So what's the other solution of p? 5 upon 12 pi. Now, is 5 upon 12 pi inside the given range? No, it's not. That's why we're not going to consider it. Okay? All right, now that we have the x-coordinate of this point and this point is complete, that means we can go ahead and find out the equation of normal. How will you find out the equation of normal? First, you will differentiate the equation of the curve. So we differentiate the equation of the curve. This is what we get. We plug in x. Now, when we plug in x, we can't really solve it directly. So we have to first turn it into cos. So we turn it into cos. We plug in x. We get the gradient of tangent, which is 6. That means the gradient of normal is minus 1 upon 6. Okay? Sir, the question says exact coordinates, so won't we not use a calculator? No. ऐसा नहीं है कि whenever the question says exact, we will not use a calculator. It's just that the working is quite difficult to do without a calculator, which is why I don't expect this question to be in a non-calculator paper. That's why I picked up a calculator. Okay? All right. So I hope that answers your question. That clarifies why we did not use 7 upon 4 pi and exactly what's going on in the question. Okay. So let's begin and find out the equation of normal. So y minus minus 1 will become y plus 1 equals to m, which is minus 1 upon 6 into x minus 1 upon 12 pi. ठीक है, so what's this right here? This is the equation of normal. This is basically the line that's cutting the x-axis and the y-axis. ठीक है, ये वो line है that meets the x-axis at the point A and meets the y-axis at the point B. Okay, so that means if it's meeting the x-axis at the point A, the coordinates of A will be x comma 0, so we'll plug in y as 0 to find out the value of x. And if it's meeting the y-axis at point B, that means we're going to plug in 0 in place of x to find out the y value. Okay, now सर आप एडवांस पेपर 1 के लिए रन थ्रू करेंगे? जी जी बिल्कुल करूँगा. Okay, so let's plug in 0 in place of y. 0 plus 1 is equals to minus 1 upon 6 into x minus 1 upon 12 pi. ठीक है, अच्छा अब इसको सॉल्व करते हैं. So 1 into 6, that's going to be equal to 6. And at the same time, if we divide it by minus, so it's going to be equal to minus 6 plus 1 upon 12 pi. ठीक है, this is basically what x is equal to. ठीक है, इसको as it is रखते हैं. How much space do we have? Okay, we're running out of space, so let's be careful. Now let's also find out. अच्छा, हमने space utilization जो है ना यहाँ पे अच्छी नहीं की. ठीक है, हमें इसको एक कॉर्नर में स्क्वीज करना चाहिए था, so that if needed we can make a column. Okay, which we'll have to actually. All right, so khair, we're almost there. Let's continue. So we have the coordinates of A now. The coordinates of A are 1 upon 12 pi minus 6. ठीक है, ये questions इस तरह के lengthy questions ही हैं, so you have to make sure that you keep your temperament and your patience in check when solving these questions. Now let's find out the coordinates of B, for which we're going to plug in 0 in place of x. So minus 1 upon 6 into 0 minus 1 upon 12 pi. So that means simply minus 1 upon 12 pi. So the y coordinate now turns out to be 6 into 12 is 72. So 1 upon 72 pi minus 1. So that means we now also have the coordinates of B. They are 0, comma 1 upon 72 pi minus 1. ठीक है, मज़ा आ रहा है? अब now it's time to put all the pieces of information that we have collected together and find out the midpoint. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे let's do the working for the midpoint. Okay, it's a 10-mark question. 10-mark question basically means your exam is out of 80, so 10 divided by 80, it's 12% of your paper. So 0 plus 1 upon 12 pi minus 6 upon 2. ठीक है, तो आप सबके डिनोमिनेटर को डबल कर दें. That's how you divide by 2. Okay, and as far as the y coordinates are concerned, that's going to be 0 plus 1 upon 72 pi minus 1 divided by 2. So 1 upon 2 divided by 2, that's 1 upon 4 pi, and 6 divided by 2, that's minus 3. ठीक है, एक second. Let me just make sure that I've done everything correctly. अच्छा, wait, it's 12. It's 12 actually, yeah. So since it's 12, that means it's going to be 1 upon 24 pi minus 3. So 1 upon 24 pi minus 3, and then 1 upon 72 divided by 2, that's 1 upon 44 pi minus 1 upon 2. And that's it. This is your final answer. This is your midpoint. Okay. So a lengthy question, but fun at the same time. ठीक है, मज़ा आ रहा है सर, दिल ख़राब हो गया ये देख के. दिल ख़राब होने वाली क्या बात है भाई. ठीक है, ये रहा आपका सोल्यूशन. इसको गौर से देखें, और कोई चीज़ पूछनी है तो बताएं, नहीं तो फिर हम आगे चलते हैं. मॉक इंशाल्लाह मैं सोच रहा हूँ कल एक आप लोगों का मॉक रख लूँ. ठीक है, आई कांट डू इट एनी सूनर. वाई? बिकॉज I have to keep a class for P3. I had to keep a class for P3 today, That's why I couldn't do it sooner. I couldn't do it today actually. Sir, will we get... नहीं, I get bored in these type of questions. तो बेटा आप एड मैथ क्या एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए आप कर रहे हैं? चलें, I'd like you guys to solve... So just give me 1 minute actually. Okay, so I'll give you guys a question to solve. Without calculator wale questions bilkul kam hai beta, lekin it's not that big of a problem. All you have to do is just not use a calculator. See, right now we solved so many questions without using a calculator. So if you want to practice questions without a calculator, or if you want to do a non-calculator practice, then do the same. Solve questions without a calculator till you reach a point where you think that the question is now designed to be done with a calculator. Tab aap use kare, otherwise don't. चलें ये question solve करें. Notice that this question also says in exact form, so that means you can do this without a calculator. So rates of change का ये सवाल है, and let's treat it as a non-calculator question. सर एड मैथ्स वालों की बकरीद नहीं होती. आप लोगों का सेकेंड डे ऑफ ईद को पढ़ा है ना पेपर? 27th is Eid, I guess. Disguise quadratic. Check the quadratic stream in which I've already covered questions related to disguise quadratic. Sir, I've been struggling with ADHD due to which I studied maths on the last day for both papers. Zana, you're welcome, Musa. I appreciate that. 26th को आप लोगों का हाँ ठीक है 18th और 26th and I think 25th is Eid. I just know that your exam is on the second day of Eid. That's what I know. I will take the AdMaths mock tomorrow, inshallah. चलें सॉल्व करें and when you have the answer please do share it with me. Sir, ये इन questions की PDF, but I've already shared the PDF. The link is in description. Okay guys, I can see some of you have given the answer. Now let me solve. And I'll give you guys the correct answer first. It's 9h over 9 minus ln 2. Okay, that's the answer. Okay, so first of all, we realize that this is a question that involves rates of change. Theek ho gaya? Then the question says, find in terms of h. The question is asking that when x equals to 1, y is increasing at a rate of h units per second. Okay, so that means this is what is given. You're given dy upon dt, and that's equal to h. Remember the 3w approach? Okay. Now find in terms of h the corresponding rate of change of x. That means you want to find out dx upon dt, and when do you want it? You want it when x equals to 1. Okay, so you want dx upon dt, and you want it when x is equals to 1. Okay, so let's do that. Let's get to work. Let's make a chain rule for dx upon dt, which means that this will come as a result of multiplying two fractions. Numerator of the first will be dx, the denominator of the second will be dt, and here, looking at the question, what makes the most sense is dy. So let's get to work. Let's find dy by dx. Now dy by dx will come as a result of using the quotient law. So u is equals to ln 3x square minus 1, which means u prime will be equal to 1 upon 3x square minus 1 multiplied by 6x. So that means u prime is equals to 6x over 3x square minus 1. Now what is v equal to? V is equals to x plus 2, which means v prime is equals to simply 1. Okay. Yeah, we're on the right track. Now let's do vu prime. Remember the 3 to 1 rule. 3 lines of working, pause for 2 seconds, review it once. So let's find out dy upon dx. Notice that I've squeezed my working on one side so that I can draw a column if needed. We do this in radian. There's no point where you have to use a calculator here, so you don't do this in radian. Okay? Or radian में हम जब करते हैं when we see trigonometric functions. I don't see any trigonometric functions here, so there's nothing here that you will do in radian. Okay, now, so vu prime means 6x into x plus 2 divided by 3x square minus 1. 3x square minus 1 minus uv prime. Minus uv prime basically simply means ln 3x square minus 1 divided by v square. V square means x plus 2 the whole thing square. So this is basically what dy by dx looks like. Okay, so you got to be patient in questions like these. You can't lose your temperament. Now what is the value of x that's given to us? X is given to us as 1. Okay, so 6 times 1 is 6. 1 plus 2 is 3. So what's 6 times 3? That's equal to 18. Alright, 18 divided by 1 square is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 minus 1 is equals to 2. So that means 18 upon 2 minus ln 1 square again 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 minus 1 is equals to 2 divided by 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 square is 9. So let's simplify. Let's see what is the simplified version of dy upon dx. So this 18 upon 2 is 9. So it's going to be 9 minus ln 2 upon 9. Okay? There we go. This is what dy by dx looks like. Now it's time to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Okay, or put all the ingredients together. So dx upon dt, dx upon dt is equal to dx upon dy. That means the reciprocal of this. So that's going to be 9 over 9 minus ln 2 multiplied by dy upon dt. What's dy upon dt? dy upon dt is h. So that's it. You have your answer. Dx upon dt, the rate of change of x in exact terms, is equals to 9h over 9 minus ln 2. 9h over 9 minus ln 2. There you go, fellas. That's your answer. Yes, for the 55th time, I will do a syllabus run through. Okay, so don't worry about it. So sometimes the question working isn't too long, but I get overwhelmed when I see the marks and sort of try to do more working. As long as you've made sure that you haven't skipped any relevant steps, it's fine. Okay. चलिए ये सवाल करते हैं. This is a good question. The normal to the curve at P intersects the line x plus y equals to 11 at the point Q. The point R is a reflection of Q in the tangent to the curve at P. Find the coordinates of R. Okay, let's solve this question. We wanted dx upon dy. That's why we took the reciprocal. Yeah, we wanted dx upon dy because in the chain rule, it said dx upon dy. That's why we took the chain rule. The 3w thing is that what is it that's given? So notice that you were given the rate of change of x. What is it that you want? Actually, you were given the rate of change of y. What is it that you want? You want the rate of change of x, and the question is, when do you want it? So this is the answer to the third w. This is the 3w approach. No, tan inverse differentiation is not part of our syllabus. Okay? All right, let's move on. And let's do this question. Can't give. Where did that question go? The question that I was just planning on solving. Integration by parts, that's also not part of our syllabus. क्या हो गया बेटा? ज़्यादा पढ़ लिया आप लोगों ने. 56, yeah, here it is. Thank you. Okay, now. The point P lies on the curve y is equals to 5x plus 2, the whole thing power 2 upon 3. The x coordinate of P is 5, all right. The normal to the curve at P. So before I can find out the normal to the curve, before I can find out the equation of normal, we want the x coordinate and we want the y coordinate. Okay, so we are given the x coordinate of P, but we're not given the y coordinate. So that means before we do anything, since we can see that we want the normal to the curve at P, okay, so we're planning right now. So we will want the normal to the curve at P, we will want this equation, and then we will solve it simultaneously with this to find out the point of intersection, which will basically be the point Q. The point R is the reflection of Q in the tangent to the curve at P. Okay, and we now have to find out the coordinates of R. Okay. Oh, it's 5. Yeah, where did 2 come from? It's 5. Okay. So let's plug in 5 in place of x and let's solve for y. Okay. So y is equals to 5 times 5, that's 25. 25 plus 2 is 7. 27 raised to the power 2 upon 3. So that means the cube root of 27, which is 3, and then 3 squared, so y is equals to 9. Okay, so we have the value of y is equals to 9. So that means the coordinates of P are now complete and they are 5, 9. Okay, so the coordinates of P are complete. Sir, अगर हम यहाँ पर question point के coordinates तक working करके, so how much marks will be deducted? You're talking about this question? Let's find out. So let's now figure out dy upon dx. So dy upon dx will be equal to 2 upon 3, bracket open, 5x plus 2, bracket close, 2 upon 3 minus 1, that's minus 1 upon 3. Do not forget to multiply it by the differential of the bracket, which is equal to 5. Okay. Now let's plug in the x coordinate of the point P, which is equal to 5, so that we can find out the gradient of tangent. So 2 times 2 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10, so that's 10 upon 3. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 plus 2 is 27. So 27 raised to the power minus 1 upon 3. Which basically means that the gradient of tangent is equals to 10 over 3 times 3. Why? Because 27 raised to the power 1 upon 3 is equals to 3. So that means the gradient of tangent is equals to 10 upon 9, which means that the gradient of normal will be equal to minus 10 or minus 9 over 10. And we need a point through which the line is passing. That is basically the point P, which has coordinates 5, 9. Now we're going to be using these two pieces of information to find out the equation of normal. So y minus 9 equals to minus 9 upon 10 into x minus 5. Okay, avoid using a calculator as much as possible till you get to a point where you have to use a calculator. Okay, so let's cross multiply. Yeah, काम करते हैं. The other equation is x plus y equals to 11. X plus y equals to 11. So might as well make y the subject over here, which is 11 minus x, and might as well plug it in as it is. So 11 minus x minus 9 equals to minus 9 upon 10 into x minus 5. Okay, I haven't expanded it deliberately because if I expand it, it will be difficult to solve. So 11 minus 9 is equals to 2. So this now becomes 2 minus x. Okay, which if you multiply, this becomes 20 minus 10x is equals to minus 9x. Minus 9 into minus 5, that's equal to 45. Okay, so 20 minus 45, what's that equal to? That's equal to minus 25 minus 9x plus 10x, that's equal to x. So that means we have the x coordinate of the point of intersection, that's minus 25. How do you find out the y coordinate? Y is equals to 11 minus minus 25, so that means y is equals to 36. Okay, what have we figured out? We figured out the coordinates of the point Q. So that means Q is a point which has coordinates minus 25, 36. What is point Q? Okay, remember, point Q is basically the point where the normal to this curve at point P intersects the line x plus y equals to 11. You didn't show the working of y? I did show the working of y. Here it is, y equals to 11 minus x, y equals to 11 minus minus 25. And if you're talking about this working, I did show this working also. Okay. Can permutation combination come in non-calculator? Yes, especially those questions where you have to find out the value of n. Those kind of questions can come in non-calculator. Okay, now let's draw a line over here. Okay, it's a 9-mark question, so that means there's probably a lot that is left. So let's draw a line over here. And let's find out, let's focus our attention towards finding out the coordinates of R. Acha, ab R hai kya? What exactly is the deal with R? The point R is the reflection of Q in the tangent to the curve at P. Okay, so just very roughly, I don't know what the curve looks like, but I do know that the tangent is going to be an upward sloping line, so I'm just going to keep that in mind when I'm drawing a tangent. Okay, so let's suppose that this is the curve. Okay, again, very, very random. Okay, and this is the point P where we have a tangent. Okay, this is the point P where we have a tangent. The only thing that I've basically made sure not to go wrong with is the fact that the tangent is an upward sloping line. So I've just made sure that I don't go wrong with that. Everything else I don't really care about. Okay. So this is the point where the line is tangent to the curve. Basically, this is the point P. Okay. Now, what did we just do? We just found out the point of intersection of the normal with another line. Okay, we just found out the point of intersection of the normal with another line. And what is that line equal to? That line is basically x plus y equals to 11. So that means that line is probably a downward sloping line, something like this. Okay, so we just found out the coordinates of Q. Okay, how do you know it's a positive tangent? By using some common sense. The gradient of tangent is positive. That's how I know that it's a upward sloping line. Okay, and that is the reason why the normal is a downward sloping line. Okay, now what's the deal with R? Read the question. The point R is a reflection of Q in the tangent to the curve at P. Okay, so that means the point R is basically a reflection of point Q in P, which basically means what? Which means that P is the midpoint of QR. That's it. So by drawing, we can see that P is the midpoint. Draw नहीं करोगे कभी नहीं समझ आएगा. ठीक है, I can see a lot of lazy students getting this question wrong. Why? Because they're not going to go the extra mile. Okay, so I can already see a lot of students getting this question wrong by not going the extra mile. And let me see if I can find out the examiner report of this. So 0606 March 25 ER. नहीं examiner report ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? How come I don't have the examiner report of this? Tell it, let me find it online. 0606 M25 ER. Paper 12, question number 10. This question was generally well answered. A fair number of candidates offered fully correct solutions. These candidates used the simplest methods, displacement vectors or the midpoint formula. Some candidates were able to find the correct coordinates of Q but were unable to interpret the information given in the question to find the coordinates of R. Often these candidates offered a whole page of algebra solving the equation of the tangent normal. Most candidates formed and used the correct derivative. Most candidates correctly recalled the relationship. Achha, most candidates were able to, many candidates found the equation of the tangent so not required. Achha, Tafaq said there's nothing mentioned in the examiner report about making a rough sketch. But trust me, I can tell you that if you don't make a rough sketch, you're not going to be able to figure out what needs to be done. Okay? So P is the midpoint of QR. That means Q has coordinates. We've already figured out the coordinates of Q, right? So Q has coordinates minus 25, 36. Yeah. Minus 25, 36. Okay. P has coordinates 5, 9. R on the other hand has coordinates x, y. Okay. So here we go. X plus minus 25 upon 2. So the coordinates of the x coordinate of the midpoint is equals to 5. Let's solve this to find out the value of x. So 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 25. That's equal to 35. So that means the x coordinate of screen nahi aa rahi. Okay. All right, guys, take it easy. अब आ गई? Yeah, okay. So here's what I've done. The x coordinate of the midpoint is equal to 5. Now let's find out the y coordinate of the midpoint. That means 36 plus y upon 2 equals to the y coordinate of the midpoint, which is 9. So 5 times 2 plus 25, that's equal to 35. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 minus 36, that's minus 18. So that means the coordinates of R are 35, minus 18. Notice that throughout this question, we did not use a calculator at all. Okay, so I repeat. We found the equation of normal to the curve and solved it simultaneously with this line so that we have the coordinates of Q. We plugged in the x coordinate of P into the equation of the curve so that we have both the x and the y coordinate of P. Now what's the deal with R? R is basically a reflection of Q along in the tangent to the curve at P. Okay, so R is a reflection of Q in this line. That means the point on this line will be the midpoint. So P becomes the midpoint of Q and R. We have the coordinates of P. We have the coordinates of Q. So we're going to treat P as the midpoint of Q and R. And through that, we're going to find out the coordinates of R. And that's exactly what we have done. Okay. But 4037 and 0606 are exactly the same. Okay. 4037 and 0606. Chalo, der aayi durust aayi. Lekin they are exactly the same. Okay. There is no difference except for the fact that 0606 has more variants, number one, and has an extra session, which is basically the February-March session. Okay. Uske alawa, there is absolutely no difference between the two. Okay. Let's do some questions where we have चलो ये करते हैं. Find the x-coordinate of the stationary points on the curve. Y is equals to... Yeah, I'll do one more rate question. Sir, can you please do polar form complex numbers in your stream later today? Later today, I'm not too sure. Today, I'm doing differential equations and I'm doing the syllabus run through. So let's see. Let's see if I am able to include it. Okay. So what do you think about the decisions made by Cambridge? I've already made a video on it. Check it out. No point in repeating. We'll just be wasting everybody else's time. Okay, let's solve this question. Find the x-coordinates of the stationary point on the curve y equals to e power 3x, 2x plus 3, the whole thing raised to the power 6. Okay. Practical problems भी हम करते हैं, बिल्कुल करते हैं. Don't worry. Legit lost. Mariam, good to have you. I do understand. But look on the bright side. You now have more days to study for P3. Okay, that's one of the many plus points that I can see that has come out. But again, I'll only be satisfied if they actually do something about it and make sure that it doesn't happen again. Okay. Is this O-level math? But why would I be streaming O-level math out of nowhere? ठीक है, paper के बाद. Do me a favor and read the title. So v is equals to 2x plus 3, the whole thing raised to the power 6. That means v prime is equals to 6 into 2x plus 3, the whole thing raised to the power 5. Take 1 away from the power and multiply it by 2. So v prime is equals to 12 into 2x plus 3, the whole thing raised to the power 5. Okay, so what are we looking for? We're looking for the x-coordinates of the stationary points. So vu prime minus uv prime equals to 0. So vu prime means 3 e power 3x into 2x plus 3, the whole thing raised to the power 6. So that's vu prime plus uv prime. That means 12 e power 3x into 2x plus 3, the whole thing power 5. And what's this equal to? This is equal to 0. Notice the question says find the x coordinates. That means the question has used plural, which means that there will be more than one. So what can I take common? I can take 3 along with e power 3x along with 2x plus 3, the whole thing raised to the power 5 common. So 3 along with e power 3x along with 2x plus 3, the whole thing power 5 common. So what am I going to multiply it with? I'm going to multiply it with 2x plus 3 power 1. Then I need to multiply it by 4 equals to 0. Okay, let me just double check, make sure that we've done everything correctly. I think we have. So yeah, 3 e power 3x and 2x plus 3, the whole thing power 5. So we multiply it by 2x plus 3 and then we multiply it by 4. Yep, looks good. Okay, so this means that it's 3 e power 3x that's equal to 0, or it's 2x plus 3, the whole thing raised to the power 5 that's equal to 0, or it's 2x plus 7 that's equal to 0. Okay, so this is not possible. You can't solve 3 e power 3x equals to 0 because an exponential curve is never equal to 0. This, however, is possible. So 2x plus 3 is equals to 0. That means x is equals to minus 3 upon 2. Okay, and this also is possible, and x is equals to minus 7 upon 2. So in other words, x is equals to minus 1.5 and x is equals to minus 3.5. Okay. The registrations for May-June 2027, for exams in May-June 2027 will open in June most likely. Okay, so there's time. Okay, now, so we have the two values of x. That's what the question wanted. The question only wanted us to find out the x coordinates, so we have done just that. Okay, make a habit of putting a box around your answer, and here we go. Achha, then the question says, a curve has equation y equals to f of x and has exactly two stationary points given that f prime prime of x equals 4x minus 7 and f prime of 0.5 equals to 0 and f prime of 3 equals to 0. Use the second derivative test to determine the nature of each of the stationary points on the curve. Okay, second derivative test means that the double derivative, and that's pretty easy. So we're going to plug in the x coordinate of the stationary point one by one into the double derivative. So 4 times 0.5, that's equal to 2. 2 minus 7, that's equal to minus 5. So minus 5 is less than 0. That means this is maximum. ठीक है, तो ये free के marks दिए हैं उसने आपको. And then f prime prime of 3, which is 4 times 3, that's 12. 12 minus 7 is equals to positive 5. So since it's 5, it's greater than 0, therefore it's minimum. So I think this is the point where the examiner realized that he or she is still 2 marks short from the total 80. So they just decided to give you free marks like this. So 3 power 3x to 2x plus 3 power 5 के साथ था ना, तो आप उसको अलग कैसे कर सकते हैं? 3e power 2x तो 2x plus 3 क्यों नहीं कर सकता बेटा? मैं कॉमन निकाल रहा हूँ ना, तो क्यों नहीं कर सकता? बिल्कुल कर सकता हूँ. से पार्ट बी समझा दें. देखो पार्ट बी में you're given the double derivative, okay, and you're given the two x coordinates of the stationary point. One is 0.5, the other is 3. Okay, these are x coordinates of the stationary point. Why? Because you can see f prime basically means dy by dx. So dy by dx equals to 0 when x is 0.5 and dy by dx equals to 0 when x is 3. We need to find out the nature. So what are we going to do for the nature? We're going to plug in f prime means single derivative, f prime prime means double derivative. So we're going to plug in these points into the double derivative, and we will see what we normally do after we get the double derivative. If it's greater than 0, that means it's minimum. If it's less than 0, that means it's maximum. ठीक है. एक होता है f inverse, that means you've taken the inverse of the function. फिर होता है f prime, that means that you've differentiated it once. But if it's f prime prime, that means you've differentiated it twice. All right, this question has part C, and then after we're done with this, let's do some questions involving more questions like these, where you have ln की इंटीग्रेशन. बेटा आप पूरे साल क्या कर रहे थे मुझे बताएं. आपने पूरे साल, आई एम श्योर यू मस्ट हैव कवर्ड द सिलेबस, राइट? डिड यू एवर कम अक्रॉस द इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ ln? नो, राइट? प्रीटी श्योर यू डिड नॉट कम अक्रॉस इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ ln एट एनी पॉइंट. तो अब आप क्यों बेचारा सबको कंफ्यूज कर रहे हो? ठीक है, ये सवाल पूछ के भी आप सबको कंफ्यूज कर रहे हो. ठीक है, तो इतनी ओवर एफिशिएंसी अच्छी नहीं होती बेटा. आई एम श्योर यू हैव सॉल्व्ड प्लेंटी ऑफ पास्ट पेपर क्वेश्चंस, आई होप, एंड एट नो पॉइंट आई एम श्योर यू मस्ट हैव कम अक्रॉस integration of ln. ठीक है? So I hope you found the answer to your question and learned the lesson also. Okay, now sir आपने change of sign rule भी पढ़ाया था ना for finding nature of curve. Yes, so किसी common question में वो use कर सकते हैं, like if the question, देखो, if the question hasn't specified, then you can use that. Okay, but if the question specifies, then whatever the question specifies, you have to use that method also only. अच्छा बेटा, जिस क्वेश्चन की आप बात कर रहे हो ना, वो hence find क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है, जिस क्वेश्चन की आप फाइंड कर रहे हो ना, वो hence find क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है, सो उस क्वेश्चन को गौर से देखो और मुझे बताओ कि क्या उसमें इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ ln आनी ज़रूरी है या नहीं. Okay, now the diagram shows a solid cuboid with height h and a rectangular base measured 4x by x. The volume of the cuboid is 40 centimeter cube. Given that x and h can vary and that the surface area of the cuboid has a minimum value, find this value. Okay, so minimum value basically means that we will differentiate it. We'll equate it to 0. We'll find out the value of x when it's minimum. We'll plug it back into the area equation, and that is basically the minimum value of A. So since we have the second derivative and the stationary point, could we find the exact equation of the original curve y equals to f of x by integrating it twice? You can. You can't, because you don't have a point through which the curve is passing. Yeah, you need a point through which the curve is passing to find out the last c. Okay, so volume is equals to 4x times h. Okay, so volume is equals to 40 is equals to 4x square h. That means अच्छा एक सेकंड, हमने प्लान नहीं बनाया इस क्वेश्चन में, ठीक है. We've just started solving it. Let's plan it. Given that x and h can vary and that the surface area of the cuboid has a minimum value. So that means first of all we want the area of cuboid. Okay, so let's find out the area of cuboid. क्योंकि असल बात minimum, the main question is that we have to find out the minimum surface area, right? We have to find out the minimum value of the surface area of this cuboid. So area is equals to 4x times x. Achha, make sure to read the question to see if it's open from the top or anything of that sort. It doesn't say that. And then it's going to be x times h multiplied by 2. So x times h means this face. So we'll double it because it's on the right and it's on the left. And then there is 4x times h, the front face, which will also double because it's at the front and it's at the back also. So you have 4x square times 2, that's 8x square plus 2hx plus 8hx, that is the area. The problem is that we cannot differentiate the area right now. Why? Because h and x are both variables. H and x are both variables. So the question is, do I differentiate it? Do I differentiate it with respect to x? Do I differentiate it with respect to x? I don't know that. Achha, sir, there is ln integration, like we break it down into one ln, one of them. Nahi beta, there is no integration by parts, theek hai? Don't confuse the rest of the students. I would appreciate that. Agar aap P3 student ho, to aap jaake P3 padho, theek hai? This is not for you. Okay? Now, so let's see how we can bring area in terms of x only. So for that, notice that we're given the volume. So if we're given the volume, it's obviously for good reason that we're given the volume. Volume of the cuboid will be 4x times x times h. What's that equal to? That's equal to 40. Okay. And h is equals to 40 upon 4. That's equal to 10. So h is equals to 10 upon x square. Okay. Let's just double check. Remember the 3-to-1 rule, 3 lines of working, pause for 2 seconds, review it once. So area, let's double check, 4x times x, double it, x times h, double it, so that's 2hx, 4x times h, double it, so that's 8hx. Okay, add kar liya, this is where we are. Okay, now let's find out area in terms of x only. So area is equals to 8x square plus 10 times 10 upon x square times x. So we can cross out this x and we can cross out the square from x square. So that means the area now becomes 8x square plus, let's write it in a way so that it's easy for us to differentiate in the next step, which is obviously what we have to do. Okay? So I thought the person was asking from P3. अच्छा चलो, no problem then. But ये add maths वाले ना कभी कभी थोड़े over efficient हो जाते हैं और P3 की चीज़ें पढ़ना शुरू कर देते हैं और दूसरों को confuse कर देते हैं. Khair. So dA upon dx will be equal to 16x minus 200 x power minus 2. Now, since we want to find out the minimum area, that means we're now going to equate it to 0. So 16x minus 200 upon x square is equals to 0. Notice I still haven't used a calculator. So 16x is equals to 200 upon x square, and maybe we will not even have to. Let's see. So x square into x is x cube. So 16x cube is equals to 200. Let's make x cube the subject. X cube is equals to 200 upon 16. And I think we'll have to now actually, because I don't think this is a perfect cube. So 16, 9. 8 से कर लेते हैं. 8 2s are 16. 8 2s are 16. 4 carry. 8 5s are 40. So that means x cube is equals to 25 upon 2. which means x is equal to the cube root of 25 upon 2. (200) minus 1 into... Oh, okay. 200 गलत है. Yeah, 100 होगा. 100. This will be 100. I don't know why I multiplied it by 2. Oops. Fix. So x cube is equals to 100 upon 16, which if we simplify using the table of 8 25s are... Actually, no, we'll have to simplify this using the table of 4 now. 4 25s are and 4 4s are. So 25 upon 4. That means x is equals to cube root of 25 upon 4. Achha, we have to use a calculator. Had this been x squared, to aaram se ho jata, but now we have to use a calculator. Achha, now the story is still not over. We now have to go ahead and find out the value of a. तो हम यहाँ पे एक column बना लेते हैं, ठीक है? So remember, area is equals to 8x square plus 100 upon x. So plug in the value of x. Use your calculator over here. So 8 bracket open cube root of 25 upon 4 bracket close, square it, plus 100 divided by cube root of 25 upon 4. So we get 81.432. Does the question have a specific requirement? No. So we're just going to give an answer as 81.4 centimeter square. Okay, don't worry about the unit. Unit is not something that you need to write. Okay. We have far bigger fish to fry. I'm good. Thank you for asking. I mean, this part, why not directly do with a calculator? Which part? This part? Finding out the area? Yeah, you can do that directly using a calculator. That's what I did. Okay. चलिए मैं आप लोगों को एक सवाल दे रहा हूँ and I'm just going to take a break. Break in the sense I'm just going to go grab some water. And in the meantime, I'd like you guys to solve. अच्छा ये क्वेश्चन ज़रा ज़्यादा टेक्निकल हो जाएगा अभी आप लोगों के लिए. स्टार्ट करते हैं कुछ ऐसे क्वेश्चन से. There you go. How'd you do the calculate? The first area so fast? Wait, which area? Which area did I calculate so fast? This one? I kept the value of x as fraction so that I don't round off prematurely. Okay, so whenever you get a value which you then have to use to get the final answer, then it's best to keep it in its exact terms till you get to the very end. ठीक है? अच्छा. So how did I calculate this so fast? I mean, there are no values, so there's nothing fast about it. I mean, there's nothing complicated about it. So can we draw cubic and quadratic graphs with a pencil? Yeah. Any sort of graph, it's best that you do it using a pencil. So what is the review stop method? Review stop method is just the 3-to-1 rule. 3-to-1 rule basically means, so this is something that programmers use. Okay, when you write 3 lines of code, you pause for 2 seconds and you review your code once. Okay, but we can use it anywhere. We can use it in AdMaths also. So when you do 3 lines of working, you pause for 2 seconds and you review it once. That's it. बेटा उसमें इसमें there are not a lot of values, so that's why it's really not that complicated. ठीक है, so maybe if you solve enough questions you will also be able to do it inshallah. Yeah, solid means that it's closed. Okay, the bottom face is closed, it's closed at the top. Obviously it has a hemisphere, so it's obviously going to be closed. Okay, so solve this question guys and just give me like a 2-3 minute break. I'm gonna go grab some water and stretch my back while I'm at it. Yeah, I'll do a full syllabus run through inshallah day before the exam on the 17th, and tomorrow inshallah I'll take a mock as well. Okay guys, so क्या update है? Sir, didn't I already answer that question? Yes, you should draw a graph using a pencil only. When doing the exam, I don't know the question or don't know how to solve. What's a technique I can use? देखो, in maths and add maths, sometimes it's a good idea to work backwards. ठीक है, जैसे for example, write down all the relevant concepts and then write down what is the one missing piece of the puzzle. ठीक है, what is the one missing piece of the puzzle कि अगर वो मिल जाए आपको तो आपके सारे मसले हल हो जाएं. ठीक है, obviously I'm referring to the question, literally speaking, not metaphorically. ठीक है, so and then see what is it that's given in the question that can help you find that missing piece of the puzzle. ठीक है, so sometimes what we have to do is we have to work backwards, see कि क्या information given है and how we can use that information to find out the one missing piece of the puzzle which is going to solve the question. ठीक है, so when are we going to have a live for P3? Starting at 7:30 inshallah. Okay, now let's solve this question. The diagram shows a solid object made from a hemisphere of radius x and a cylinder of radius x and height y. The volume of the object is 500 centimeter cube. Find an expression for y. So what is y? Y is basically the height. And show that the surface area S of the object is given by so and so. Okay, so it's a two-step process. First we have to find out y. And obviously we'll have to find out y in terms of x because notice that the surface area is in terms of x. So let's find out y in terms of x. Do I have a pet? No, I don't have a pet. Why? Why would I have a pet? I mean, why do you think I have a pet? So let's have a look at what information we're given to find out the value of y. We're given the volume. Okay, so we're given the volume. Now what will be the volume equal to? What will be the volume equal to? The volume will be equal to pi r square h, okay, plus the volume of the hemisphere. Okay, so volume is equals to the volume of the cylinder. So this is the cylinder and this is the hemisphere. Okay, so cylinder is pi r square h and then the hemisphere will be 4 upon 3 pi r cube divided by 2, which then becomes 2 upon 3 pi r cube. Okay, so the volume is equals to 500. Okay. Then we have pi r square h, so pi r square y plus 2 upon 3 pi r cube. Acha, just so you guys know, it's not r, it's actually x. So pi x square y plus 2 upon 3 pi x cube. Okay. So step by step, we're going to make y the subject. So let's do that. So first of all, it's going to be 500 minus 2 upon 3 pi x cube. Okay. This is equal to what? This is equal to pi x square y. Now when we make y the subject, so y is equals to 500. So I'm going to write it separately. I'm going to write pi x square separately with each term so that it's easy for me to simplify. So 500 upon pi x square, okay, minus 2 pi x cube over 3 pi x square. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've divided 500 separately by pi x square and I've divided 2 upon 3 pi x cube separately by pi x square. Why? You guys will find out in a minute. So this makes it easy for me to simplify. I can cross out the pi and pi. I can cross out the cube from x cube and I can completely get rid of x square. So that means I now know y is equals to 500 upon pi x square, 500 upon pi x square minus 2x upon 3. Yeah, minus 2x upon 3. Okay, now, so y आ गया हमारे पास. अच्छा, अब what's next? What's next is that we now, let me just double check, make sure that I've done everything correctly. ठीक है. अच्छा, अब let's find out Okay, now let's find out the total surface area. Yeah, let's find out the total surface area. Achha, how will I find out the total surface area? The total surface area will be equal to the area of the base plus the curved surface area of the cylinder plus the hemisphere. Okay, so remember, whenever you have a shape like this and you want to find out the total surface area, what you'll do is you will first imagine as if you're holding the object in your hand. Okay, so if you're holding the object in your hand, you will have to first find out the area of the base, then you'll have to find out the curved surface area of the cylinder, then the area of the top part. Okay, okay, now let's see how we can start putting this together. So the total surface area, so the total surface area is equal to this. Let's make a column. Now, starting with the base, which is pi x square, plus the curved surface area of the cylinder, which is 2 pi RH, except that now in place of h, we will use 500 upon pi x square, ठीक है, और r की जगह हम x यूज़ करेंगे, minus 2 upon 3x. Okay. And then the area of the hemisphere, which is 2 pi r square, so it's going to be 2 pi x square. Okay, now let's start simplifying and let's start adding things up. So first of all, pi x square plus 2 pi x square is equals to 3 pi x square. Okay, so pi x square plus 2 pi x square is equals to 3 pi x square. So s is equals to 3 pi x square. Now let's multiply this. 2 into 500 is equals to what? Is equals to 1000. So 1000 pi x upon pi x square, minus 2 into 2 is 4, so 4 upon 3 pi x square. Okay, abhi tak we haven't used a calculator. So I don't know, sir, it's your wish, but weren't we supposed to do p minus 1 recent year solving? I guess I heard wrong, but pretty sure. If I do a mock, it will still, see, the idea was to practice non-calculator past papers, right? So if I do a mock, it's still going to be the same thing. Okay, so this is it, the final stretch, 3 minus 4 upon 3. So 3 minus 4 upon 3, if you take the LCM, so that's 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 4 is equals to 5. So we have 5 upon 3 pi x square. And let's simplify over here. So pi and pi gets cancelled. The x and the square from x square gets cancelled. And now we have plus 1000 upon x. Okay, so that's it. This is what we had to do. And we have done just that only. Okay. Okay, now, then the question says, given that x can vary and s has a minimum value, find the value of x for which s is a minimum. Okay, so we only have to find out the value of x for which s is minimum. And x can vary basically means that x is the variable. All right, so the question has made us do all the hard work. Okay, and now all we have to do is differentiate it, set it equal to 0, and only solve for the value of x. We don't even have to find out the value of s. Yeah, but before I differentiate, a good idea would be to write it in a way that it's easy for us to differentiate. So s is equals to 5 upon 3 pi x square plus 1000 x power minus 1. Now let's start differentiating. So ds upon dx is equals to 5 times 2, that's 10. 10 upon 3 pi x minus 1000 x to the power minus 2. Okay, and then we're going to equate it to 0. So 10 upon 3 pi x minus 1000 upon x square equals to 0, which means 10 upon 3 pi x is equals to 1000 upon x square, which means that we can cross out 1 0 from both sides. Let's cross multiply. So when you cross multiply, you have pi x cubed, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 300. Okay, so we've done way too many lines of working. Now let's pause and review our work. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 pi x minus 1000 x raised to the power minus 2. Sounds good, sounds good, sounds good. Yep. Okay. So x cubed is equals to 300 upon pi. Now let's take the cube root on both sides. And if I take the cube root on both sides, x is equals to, does the question say find out the exact? No. But this can very easily come in a non-calculator paper, and it will say give your answer in its exact form, and that's it. There we go. Job done. Okay. How to manage time in P1? Just don't waste any time. Okay, just don't waste any time. Make sure that you're locked in till the end of the paper, because you will need a lot of time to do some basic calculations since calculator is not allowed. So you can't afford to waste a single minute. Achha, let's do another question where we might have to use. So let's do this one. Let's do this one. Silly mistake हो जाती है. हाँ तो इसीलिए तो मैं कह रहा हूँ, make sure that you check as you go along. So just one question, when finding nature, let's say equation is very complex and double differentiate. And then the alternative is the change of sign rule, the change of sign method, which is something that we did yesterday as well. So yesterday we did a questions using the change of sign rule where we used a different method to determine the nature of the stationary point. ठीक है? Okay, now let's do this. Let's solve this question. Let's see what it says. Okay, now the diagram shows a water container in the shape of a triangular prism. All right. The depth of water in the container is h. The container has length 5. The water in the container forms a prism with a uniform cross section that is an equilateral triangle of side x. Okay, so that means the cross section that is being formed is an equilateral triangle with side x. Okay. So here we go. This is equal to x. Show that the volume V of the water is given by so and so. So if I were to find out the volume of this triangle as of now, this is what we will do. We will do area of cross section, which is basically the area of the equilateral triangle multiplied by the length of prism. Which means, how will I find out the area of the equilateral triangle? Since it's an equilateral triangle, I'll do half times x times sine 60 multiplied by the length, which is equal to 5. Okay? So that means the volume will basically be equal to x square. Sine 60 क्या होता है? Sine 60 होता है root 3. So x square upon 2, root 3 upon 2, that's what sine 60 is, into 5. So that means the volume that we are looking at is equal to 5 under root 3 upon 4x square. But we run into a problem. The problem that we run into is the fact that we are supposed to give the volume in terms of h, not in terms of x. So how can we fix that? Notice that we are told that the triangle that's being formed is equilateral triangle with side x and length h and height h. That means that is all the information that we need in order to find h in terms of x. So notice that this is x, and this is h. And considering that this is an equilateral triangle, that means every angle will be equal to 60 degrees, which means here's what I can do. Sine 60 is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. So the opposite side is h, the hypotenuse side is x. What is sine 60 equal to? So we just saw that sine 60 is basically equal to under root 3 upon 2. Okay? And then let's multiply it by x. So this is what? Actually, we're supposed to make x the subject. Okay. So since I'm supposed to make x the subject, x is equals to h upon under root 3 upon 2. ठीक हो गया? Which means x is equals to 2h. Yeah. 2h upon under root 3. ठीक हो गया? Yeah, 2h upon under root 3. ठीक है. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to plug in x as 2h upon under root 3 in volume, and let's see if it gives us the desired result or not. So 2h upon under root 3, the whole thing squared, Let's square it. So when you square it, here's what you get. You get 5 under root 3 upon 4 as it is into 4h squared, and root 3 squared is basically equal to 3. So 4 and 4 cancel, and now the volume can be C is equals to 5 under root 3 h squared upon 3. There we go. This is exactly what we had to bring it equal to, and we have done just that. Can you do a stream on kinematics? I've done a few streams on kinematics already. I'll see if I can do some more. Okay. But if I do it, I will be doing mainly off past paper questions only, not concepts. Okay. Sir, could you also do probability and statistics too? I'm afraid I don't teach S2. So yeah, I can't do that. How long will the stream last? The stream will most likely go till, I think, another 10-15 minutes, or maybe I'll stop after this question. Okay, now, water is pumped into the container at a rate of 0.5 meter cube per minute. Find the rate at which the depth of the water is increasing when the depth of the water is 0.1 meters. Okay. Yeah, I have 2 P3 streams planned for today. One is differential equations starting at 7:30. The other is a syllabus run through starting at 9:30, inshallah. 9:30 or 9, I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so water is pumped into the container at a rate of 0.5 meter cube per minute. That means dV upon dt is equals to 0.5. So this is a rate of change question. This is what is given. Find the rate at which the depth of the water is increasing. That means we have to find dH upon dt. And when do we want it? We want it when the depth of the water is 0.1. That means when height is 0.1. Okay. I didn't read your question. Sir, since we found the optimal radius to be x equals to square root 3, say yes. So sir, what happens to the height at this exact point? Does it become 0? Or does the... No, it does not become 0. The height is equal, see, you found out x. What is the height dependent on? The height is dependent on x. So you can actually find out the height using the value of x that you just worked out. So the height doesn't become 0, because if the height becomes 0, then it's no longer a definite shape. Okay, then the whole shape is just a meaningless one. Okay, so let's make a chain rule for dH upon dt. Let's make a chain rule for dH upon dt. Now we know that dH upon dt will come as a result of multiplying two fractions. The numerator of the first one will be dH. The denominator of the second one will be dt. Here and here we'll have something that's common and relevant to the question. So the only thing that makes sense is dv. So we're given dv upon dt. We don't have to worry about that, but we do have to worry about dH upon dv, but not for long, because it's very easy to find out dH upon dv. All we have to do is differentiate volume with respect to h, and we will get dv upon dh. So dv upon dh is equals to 2 times 5, that's under root 3, 10 under root 3 upon 3 times h. What's h equal to? H is equals to 0.1. So that means dv upon dh is equals to 10 into root 3 into 0.1. So 10 into 0.1 is simply 1. So we have root 3 upon 3. Okay. Now it's time to put all these pieces of information together. Okay. So let's make a column and let's continue here. So dh upon dt, for which we now have to take the reciprocal of dv upon dh, so it's going to be 3 upon under root 3. Okay. Into, what is dv upon dt? That's 0.5. By the way, notice that we still haven't used a calculator in this entire question. So 3 into 0.5 is 3 upon 2. Okay, so 3 into 0.5 is actually 1.5 upon under root 3. Now the question does not say give your answer in exact form, but we can leave the answer in exact form because the question has no specific requirement. So 1.5 is actually 3 upon 2. Okay, so 3 upon 2, चलो calculator use कर ही लेते हैं. 1.5 divided by under root 3, that's equal to under root 3 upon 2. So under root 3 upon 2, that's the answer. Okay. But this could very well be done without a calculator. ठीक हो गया? Okay. So I think that's enough differentiation. This is enough differentiation. By the way, this is a very nice integration area under the curve question. Okay, I'm using this one. Casio ClassWiz 570EX. It's a pretty cool calculator. It's a shame they don't make calculators like these anymore, but it's pretty cool. Acha, I will encourage you guys to solve the remaining questions. Okay? And in the next class, inshallah, that we have, so tomorrow we're going to have a mock, and tomorrow, inshallah, I will also do some questions related to integration. Okay? So we have the 15th, we have 16th, we have 17th. So I'd like to do integration, I'd like to do some trigonometry, some functions, and ideally 2 mocks. Okay? So expect lots of streams, inshallah, in the coming days. So PC setup review when? I don't know, man. It's not my kind of thing, not something I'm into. But integration, next class, next stream. So tomorrow I'm planning 2 streams. One is a mock and the other is integration. Okay? So let's have that tomorrow. Then maybe day after we'll have another mock and then another stream of either functions or kinematics. I was thinking we should do functions, modulus functions, because that is something I'm expecting in paper 1. Maybe not kinematics in paper 1. Okay? But I am expecting modulus functions in paper 1, so we'll do a stream of that. ठीक है? कहाँ पता चलेंगे stream timings? I do post on my Instagram, and also on YouTube. ठीक है? YouTube पे जो, if you just go to my channel, you will see कि वहाँ पे भी post किया हुआ है मैंने. ठीक है? So I'll stop here, fellas. See you guys, inshallah, in the next stream. So take care, fellas. Allah Hafiz.